17 empty seats had gathered dust in the Galactic Council chamber for 50,000 years. Ambassador Rena Rokoi had walked past them 100 times without asking why. Today, she finally asked. "The vein," Counselor Fen said, his insected body clicking with each word. "The oldest species in the galaxy. They stopped attending before my species learned to make fire." Rena looked at the ancient chairs. They were carved from a material she did not recognize, something that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Why did they leave? No one knows. They simply stopped coming. They stopped talking. They stopped everything. Fen's antennae twitched nervously. Once every few thousand years, they send a message, always warnings, never explanations. The chamber was filling with delegates from 100 different worlds. Rena noticed something strange about their behavior. Many kept glancing at a small device, checking for something. Some looked afraid. "What is happening?" she asked. Before Fen could answer, every light in the chamber flickered. A sound filled the air, not through the speakers, but somehow directly in their minds. It was a voice older than stars. "We remember what sleeps beneath the third world." The message repeated once, then stopped. Coordinates appeared on every screen in the chamber. Rena recognized them immediately. They pointed to Earth. Chaos erupted. Delegates from dozens of species began running for the exits. Some were screaming in languages Rena did not understand. Others simply collapsed, overwhelmed by fear that seemed to have no source. "What is this?" Rena grabbed Fen's arm. "What are they so afraid of?" Fen's compound eyes were wide. "The Vein have spoken. In all my years on this council, I have never seen them speak. My predecessor never saw them speak. This has not happened in 3,000 years." Rena pushed through the panicking crowd toward Archivist Eula, a small amphibian creature who maintained the council's historical records. Eula was trembling so badly that the data tablet in her hands kept slipping. "I need to know what this means," Rena said. "What sleeps beneath Earth?" "I cannot tell you," Eula whispered. "The records are sealed. The Vein sealed them personally. They have never sealed records for any other planet, only Earth." "Then unseal them." "I cannot. Only a Vein can authorize that." Eula's large eyes filled with tears. "Ambassador, I have spent my whole life in these archives. I have read about horrors that would break most minds. But the Vein archives terrify me. Whatever they sealed away, they were afraid of it. The oldest beings in the universe were afraid." Rena looked around the chamber. The delegates were fleeing as if the station itself was about to explode. She had served as Earth's ambassador for 12 years. She had negotiated trade deals, resolved conflicts, and represented her entire species before the galaxy. But she had never felt so small. "There must be something," she said. "Something they left behind, something I can use to understand." Eula hesitated. "There is one artifact, a memory sphere. It shows images from Earth's past. From before humans existed, we keep it in the deepest vault because no one wants to look at what it contains." "Take me there." "Ambassador, I must warn you. The last person who looked into the sphere did not speak for 3 years afterward. She simply sat and stared at nothing. When she finally spoke again, she only said one thing." "What did she say?" Eula's voice dropped to a whisper. "She said that we were never alone, that something was always there beneath the water, beneath the stone, waiting, dreaming, hungry." Rena felt cold despite the regulated temperature of the station. She thought of Earth, of the blue oceans she had swum in as a child, of the deep trenches that humans had barely begun to explore. She thought of all the ancient myths about monsters in the deep, about sleeping gods and sunken cities. "Take me to the vault," she said again. They walked in silence through corridors that grew older and stranger as they descended. The architecture changed from modern alloys to ancient stone to something that seemed grown rather than built. Finally, they reached a door that had no handle, no keypad, no visible way to open it. Eula pressed her hand against the surface and spoke words in a language that made Rena's ears hurt. The door dissolved. Inside was a single pedestal, On it sat a sphere the size of a human head, made of crystal that pulsed with soft light. Inside the crystal, something moved. Shadows that formed shapes almost like memories. "Whatever you see," Eula said, "remember that it happened billions of years ago. It cannot hurt you. It is only the past." Rena reached out and touched the sphere. The universe disappeared. She stood on a world of fire and steam, watching a young planet cool. She saw beings of pure light descend from the stars, beautiful and ancient beyond measure. She watched them discover something in the primordial ocean, something that should not have been there, something that had drifted in from the void between galaxies. The vision shifted. She saw the light beings attack the thing in the ocean. She saw their weapons fail. She saw them run. Then she saw what they left behind. Life. Tiny cells designed to grow and evolve and multiply, a garden planted over a grave. The sphere released her. Rena fell to her knees, gasping. "Now you understand," Eula said. "Humans were not the first life on Earth. You were the lock on a cage." Rena looked up, her face pale, and something is trying to open it. 4 billion years of history played behind Rena's eyes even after she released the sphere. She could still feel the cold of that ancient ocean. She could still sense the hunger of the thing that waited there. "The vein ran," she said. "The oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy, and they ran." Archivist Eula helped her stand. "They did more than run. They tried to fix their mistake. They seeded Earth with life. Bacteria at first, then more complex organisms. They guided evolution for billions of years." "Why, what was the point?" "Consciousness," Eula said. "The thing beneath the ocean feeds on consciousness. The more aware the mind, the more it desires that mind. But human consciousness is different. Human brains produce something that the creature cannot digest. Your thoughts are poison to it." Rena leaned against the cold wall of the vault. "We are a weapon. You are a cage. As long as humans exist on Earth, as long as billions of you think and dream and feel, the creature cannot fully wake. Your collective consciousness keeps it in a state between sleeping and death." "But it sent a message. The vein sent a message about Earth. Why now?" Eula's skin paled to a sickly gray. Something must have changed. Something on Earth must have disturbed it. Before Rena could respond, the vault door opened. General Koss stood in the entrance, his reptilian face grim. He was the head of station security, a veteran of wars that Rena had only read about. "Ambassador," he said, "you need to see this." They followed him through the ancient corridors, back toward the modern sections of the station. Koss led them to the Emergency Command Center, where dozens of officers monitored feeds from across the galaxy. "3 hours ago," Koss said, "we received a distress signal from Earth. A deep-sea research vessel detected unusual readings in the Mariana Trench." He pulled up a holographic display. Rena saw the familiar blue sphere of her home world, with a red dot pulsing in the Pacific Ocean. The readings showed a massive heat signature rising from a depth that should not exist. The ocean floor in that region is approximately 11 kilometers deep. The heat signature came from 15 kilometers down. "That is impossible," Rena said. "There is nothing below the ocean floor but rock and magma." "There is something else." Koss zoomed in on the reading. "The research vessel sent a probe. Here is what they found." The image changed to show camera footage from the probe. Rena saw darkness at first, then shapes began to emerge. Walls, carved walls covered in symbols that made her head ache. The architecture was the same as the oldest parts of the station, the same as the vein vault. "The vein built something down there," she whispered. "It appears to be a containment facility," Koss said. "But the walls are cracking. Something inside is pushing outward." Eula made a sound of pure terror. Rena turned to see the archivist staring at the screen with eyes full of tears. "The cage is breaking," Eula said. "After 4 billion years, the cage is finally breaking." Rena grabbed Koss by the arm. "I need to get to Earth now. The Council has ordered a full evacuation of the sector. No ships are permitted to approach Earth." "I do not care what the Council ordered. That is my planet. Those are my people. I will not abandon them. Ka studied her for a long moment. His yellow eyes showed something that might have been respect. There is one ship that will take you, the Vane vessel that arrived an hour ago. The Vane are here. One of them, the first to leave their homeworld in 50,000 years. It says it needs to speak with a human. It says it has a message that only a human can deliver. Rena did not hesitate. Take me to it. The Vane ship floated in the docking bay like a living thing. Its hull shifted and flowed, never quite holding the same shape. As Rena approached, a section of the hull peeled back to reveal an interior filled with soft light. A voice spoke in her mind. You have seen the sphere, you know what we did, you know what sleeps. Beneath your world. I know that you created us to be a prison, Rena said. I know that you used us without our knowledge or consent. Yes, and for that we are sorry, but sorrow will not save your people, only you can do that. How? The creature feeds on consciousness, but human consciousness is unique. Alone, one human mind is merely an irritant to the creature. Together, billions of human minds can destroy it. Rena felt hope spark in her chest. Tell me what to do. Your species must think as one. For the first time in your history, every human must focus on a single thought at the same moment. If you can achieve this, the creature will not merely sleep. It will die. That is impossible. Humans cannot agree on anything. Then your species will be consumed, and after you the galaxy will follow. The light in the ship pulsed. We are taking you to Earth. What happens next is in your hands. The ship lifted off, carrying Rena toward her home world and the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. Dr. Adiora N. Namdi had spent her entire life studying the deep ocean. She had discovered 17 new species, mapped trenches that no human had ever seen, and published papers that changed how scientists understood life in extreme environments. None of it had prepared her for this. The probe is at 16 kilometers, her assistant said. We should not be able to go this deep. The seafloor should have stopped us 5 kilometers ago. Ajora watched the monitor in silence. The probe's cameras showed carved stone walls descending into infinite darkness. Symbols covered every surface, symbols that seemed to move when she looked directly at them. There is a structure down here, she said. Something built this, something intelligent. Captain Pavel Sorokin stood beside her, his weathered face pale. Doctor, I have commanded submarines for 30 years. I have seen things in the deep that I never reported because no one would believe me. But this is different. We need to leave. We cannot leave. This is the greatest discovery in human history. This is dangerous. Whatever is down there, it does not want to be found. Before Adiora could respond, Lieutenant Bina Sharma screamed. Everyone on the bridge turned. Bina was clutching her head, blood dripping from her nose. Her eyes were rolled back, showing only white. I can hear it, she whispered. It is so hungry, it has been dreaming for so long, and now it is waking up. Adiora rushed to her side. What do you hear? What is speaking to you? Everything, nothing. It does not use words, it just wants. Bina grabbed Adiora's arm with desperate strength. It knows we are here. It has been waiting for us. It has been waiting for 4 billion years. The ship shuddered. Alarms began blaring as the hull groaned under pressure that should not exist at this depth. Something is rising, Sorokin shouted. The sonar is showing a massive object moving upward from beneath us. Adiora looked at the sonar display and felt her heart stop. The object was bigger than anything she had ever seen. It was bigger than their ship, bigger than an aircraft carrier, bigger than the largest whale that had ever lived. It was rising fast. Surface, Sorokin ordered. Emergency ascent now. The research vessel began to climb, but the thing below them climbed faster. Then the voice came. It did not come through the speakers or the radio. It came directly into their minds, into the minds of every person on the ship, into the minds of every human on Earth. It spoke in every language simultaneously, and it said only one thing. I am hungry. I have dreamed of you for so long. Around the world, 8 billion people stopped what they were doing. In cities and villages, in homes and offices, in cars and airplanes, every human being heard the same message. For one terrible moment, humanity shared a single experience of pure, primal fear. Ajora fell to her knees. Images flooded her mind. She saw the creature as it once was, a being from outside the galaxy, drifting through the void for billions of years. She saw it land on a young Earth, burrowing into the molten rock, waiting for the planet to cool. She saw other beings, creatures of light, try to destroy it and fail. She saw humans, not as they were now, but as they would become if the creature escaped. Empty shells, their consciousness consumed, their bodies walking but their minds gone. "No," she whispered. "No, I will not let this happen." She forced her eyes open. The ship was still ascending, but the creature was close now. She could feel its hunger pressing against her thoughts like a weight. Then something else happened, something unexpected. The creature hesitated. Ajora felt it pause, confused. It had expected prey. Instead, it found something that burned. Human thoughts, billions of them, all filled with the same fear, were not food to the creature, they were pain. "It cannot eat us," she realized. "Our minds are wrong, we taste wrong to it." The creature's rise slowed. It was still coming, but it was struggling now. The collective terror of humanity was like acid to its ancient hunger. Ajora's radio crackled. A voice she did not recognize spoke with calm authority. "Dr. N. Namdi, this is Ambassador Renner Akoy. I am approaching your position in an alien vessel. I need you to listen carefully. I know what that thing is, and I know how to stop it. But I need your help." Ajora grabbed the radio. "Tell me what to do." Human consciousness is toxic to the creature, but fear only slows it down. To destroy it completely, we need something stronger. We need humanity to think as one. "That is impossible." "That is what I said, but we have no choice. We have 7 days before the creature adapts to our fear. 7 days to unite 8 billion minds. Can you help me?" Ajora looked at her crew, at Bina, still trembling from the creature's touch, at Sorokin, whose hands shook as he guided the ship upward, at every terrified face around her. "Yes," she said, "tell me what you need." Below them, the creature waited. It had waited for 4 billion years. It could wait 7 more days, and then it would feed. The world had not slept in 5 days. Every screen on Earth showed the same countdown. Every radio station broadcast the same instructions. Every person alive knew what was coming. Director Amara Diallo stood in the Global Emergency Command Center in Geneva, watching feeds from every continent. Riots had broken out in 12 major cities. Religious groups declared the end times. Governments struggled to maintain order as panic spread faster than any virus. "We cannot do this," she said. 5 days of trying, and we have not achieved synchronization for more than 3 seconds. Humans are not built to think as one. Ambassador Renner Akoy stood beside her, exhausted but determined. "We have 2 more days, we have to keep trying." "Trying what?" "We have asked people to meditate. We have asked them to pray. We have asked them to focus on a single image. Nothing works. There are too many languages, too many beliefs, too many distractions." "Then we need something simpler." Dr. Ajora N. Namdi's voice came through the communication system. She was still aboard the research vessel, floating above the Mariana Trench, monitoring the creatures. "Movements." "The creature is adapting," she said. "The first day our fear stopped it completely. Now it barely slows down. By tomorrow it will reach the surface. By the day after it will begin feeding." Rena closed her eyes. She thought of the Vane, who had created humanity for this exact purpose. She thought of the billions of people depending on her to find a solution. She thought of the creature below, patient and hungry and ancient beyond understanding. "What do all humans have in common?" she asked suddenly. Amara frowned. "Nothing, that is the problem. We are too different." "No, there must be something. Something so basic that every human shares it. Something that does not require language or culture or belief." Ajora's voice crackled with excitement. "Breathing. Every human breathes. Every human has a heartbeat." That is involuntary. We cannot control it consciously. But we can synchronize it. Ajora spoke quickly now. There is research on collective breathing. When groups of people breathe together, their heart rates align, their brain waves synchronize. If we could get everyone on Earth to breathe in the same rhythm. Rena grabbed Amara's arm. Can we broadcast a breathing pattern, something simple that everyone can follow? We can broadcast anything, but will people follow it? They will if we give them something to breathe for, not against the creature, for each other, for their children, for their future. Amara hesitated, then nodded. I will make the arrangements. We broadcast in 6 hours. The next 6 hours were the longest of Rena's life. Technicians worked frantically to prepare the global broadcast. Psychologists designed a simple pattern that anyone could follow. Translators recorded the instructions in every language. Religious leaders agreed to support the effort. Even the rioters stopped when they heard what was coming. At midnight, every screen on Earth showed the same image. A simple animation of a circle expanding and contracting, breathing in, breathing out. Every speaker played the same gentle tone, rising and falling in a rhythm as old as life itself. Breathe with us, Rena's voice said. Breathe for the person next to you. Breathe for the children who will inherit this world. Breathe for every human who has ever lived. Breathe together as one species, one family, one breath. In Tokyo, a mother held her infant and breathed with the rhythm. In Lagos, strangers. On the street, linked arms and breathed together. In Sao Paulo, enemies who had been fighting hours ago stood side by side and breathed. In New York, millions of people gathered in the streets, silent except for the sound of their synchronized breath. Ajora watched her instruments in amazement. It is working. The neural patterns are aligning. We have 40% synchronization, 50%, 60%. The creature below them screamed. It was not a sound but a feeling, a wave of rage and pain that washed over the planet. People stumbled, broke rhythm, began to panic. Keep breathing, Rena shouted into the broadcast. Do not stop. It is afraid of us. It has never felt pain before. We are hurting it. Keep breathing. The rhythm resumed, 70% synchronization, 80%. The creature's screams grew louder. It thrashed in its ancient prison, cracking stone that had held for billions of years. It was trying to surface before humanity could complete the synchronization. 90%, Ajora called. We need just a little more. Rena thought of every human on Earth, every mind joined in a single breath. She thought of the power they held together, power that no weapon could match. 95%, 98%. The creature burst through the ocean floor. A massive shape rose from the depths, too large to comprehend, too ancient to describe. It broke the surface of the Pacific, and its hunger washed over the world like a tide. 100%, Ajora whispered. 8 billion minds, united in a single breath, focused on a single thought. Not fear, not anger, but love. Love for each other, for their world, for their future. The creature froze. And for the first time in 4 billion years, it felt something other than hunger. It felt the warmth of 8 billion souls, breathing together, thinking together, being together. It felt full. The creature hung motionless above the Pacific Ocean, a mountain of ancient flesh suspended between sea and sky. For the first time in its existence, it did not hunger. For the first time, it understood what it meant to be satisfied. Ambassador Rena Akoi watched from the deck of a naval vessel, tears streaming down her face. Around her, the crew stood in stunned silence. Around the world, 8 billion people slowly released the breath they had been holding. Did it work? Director Amara Diallo's voice came through Rena's earpiece. Is it dead? No, Rena said softly. It is not dead, it is different. The vain ship descended from the clouds, its fluid hull shifting in the morning light. The ancient vessel landed on the water beside Rena's ship, and for the first time in 50,000 years, a vein stepped into the open air of Earth. The being was made of light, beautiful and terrible, older than the sun. It looked at the creature floating above the waves, and it wept. We tried to destroy it, the vein said. We failed, we tried to contain it, that failed too, but you did something we never imagined possible. What did we do? Rena asked. You fed it, not with your minds, not with your consciousness, but with your love. For 4 billion years, it knew only hunger. It consumed because it had never experienced anything else. But humans taught it what it feels like to be full. Dr. Adjora N. Namdi's voice came through the radio. The creature's brain activity has changed. It is no longer seeking food. It is resting. I think it is going to sleep. The creature began to sink, slowly descending toward the ocean. But this time, its movement was gentle, peaceful. It was returning to its ancient home not as a prisoner, but as a guardian. It will protect Earth now, the vein said. It has bonded with humanity. Your love gave it something it never had before, a family. It will sleep beneath your world, and nothing in the universe will be able to harm you while it dreams. Rena watched the creature disappear beneath the waves. She thought of all the humans who had breathed together, who had set aside their differences for one moment of perfect unity. She thought of what humanity had accomplished not through weapons or technology, but through simple, shared love. What happens now? She asked. Now everything changes. The veins' light pulsed with warmth. For 50,000 years, we have hidden from the galaxy, ashamed of what we created, ashamed of using humanity without consent. But you have shown us something we had forgotten. What is that? That life is not a tool to be used. Life is a gift to be shared. You were meant to be a cage, but you became something greater. You became proof that consciousness can create as well as destroy. That hunger can become love, that even the oldest wounds can heal. Around the world, people began to emerge from their homes. They looked at each other differently now. For one brief moment, they had been. One mind, one heart, one breath. That connection would never fully fade. In Geneva, director Amara Diallo authorized the largest celebration in human history. In Tokyo, strangers embraced in the streets. In Lagos, children danced in the rain that fell from a sky now free of ancient terror. Everywhere, humans remembered what it felt like to be together. The Galactic Council reconvened the next day. For the first time in 50,000 years, the vein attended. They took their ancient seats and addressed the assembled delegates. We have a confession to make, the vein speaker said, and an apology and a request. The galaxy listened as the vein explained what they had done, how they had created humanity to be a prison for an ancient horror. Many delegates reacted with anger. Some demanded punishment. But Rena stood before them and spoke. Yes, we were created for a purpose we did not choose, but we chose our own path. We chose love over fear, unity over division. We chose to feed a starving God and make it our protector. That is what it means to be human. We take what we are given and make it something better. The chamber fell silent. Humanity has earned its place among the stars, the vein speaker said. Not as weapons, not as tools, but as teachers. You have shown us that the greatest power in the universe is not destruction. It is compassion, and we would like to learn from you. Rena smiled, then let us begin. 1 year later, Rena stood on the shore of a Pacific island, looking out at calm waters. Somewhere far below, an ancient being dreamed peaceful dreams, guardian of a world it had once tried to consume. A child ran past her, laughing, chasing waves. Humans and aliens walked together on the beach, sharing food and stories and hope. The vein had named humanity something new. Not deathworlders, not weapons, not cages. They called them dreamfeeders, the species that taught an ancient hunger how to feel full. And beneath the waves, the creature that had once threatened to consume all consciousness in the galaxy slept contentedly, dreaming of 8 billion souls breathing together, thinking together, loving together. It was finally at peace. And so was humanity,